After a long regular season, we have reached the Canadian Premier League playoffs. And the 4 teams in the playoffs are the exact 4 teams that I predicted to be in the playoffs at the beginning of the season, just the order of their seeding is different. On one half, we have regular season champions Atletico Ottawa facing 4th place finishers and last season's CPL champions Pacific FC. And on the other side, we have the fiercest rivalry in the Canadian Premier League, Hamilton's Forge FC versus Calgary's Cavalry FC. 2 great matchups for the playoffs. And as a reminder, for this year, the playoffs are 2-legged semifinals home and away, followed by a 1-legged final hosted by the top-ranked team remaining. So, getting into it, Ottawa Pacific. Atletico Ottawa had a heavy retool this season, and I had them as the most improved team and the winners of the offseason in the Canadian Premier League. I expected that they were going to come 4th in the regular season and make their first playoff berth. They exceeded expectations and won the regular season. Ollie Bassett, who wasn't really given a chance to shine at Pacific, was lights out all season for Ottawa, and as a whole, this Ottawa team just was the best week in, week out in the Canadian Premier League. They're going up against the Pacific FC team that, prior to the departure of Alejandro Diaz, would have been my pick to come first place in the league in mid-season form. But since the departure of Diaz, they had a bit of a fall off, had a scare of almost missing the playoffs, but were able to inch their way back in the last couple weeks of the season. Over 2 legs, I see Atletico Ottawa as the clear favorites. I think in a 1-leg match, Pacific would have a better chance, but over 2 legs, 2 games, Ottawa just has been the better team throughout the whole season. Ottawa, I think, is the stronger team right now, more consistently. This is Ottawa's matchup to lose, and I don't see them losing it. To the other side, Forge Cavalry, 2nd place Forge versus 3rd place Cavalry. Although they did tie on points in the regular season, Forge ahead on goal differential. This is the fiercest rivalry in the Canadian Premier League. These are 2 teams that, like, starting right off the bat in 2019, they played the 2-leg Canadian Championship matchup, then they had the 2-legged final in the CPL. They played a lot of times against each other in 2019 and then twice in 2020, a couple more times in 2021. But these are 2 teams that hate each other, and you see every single time they play against each other that they hate each other more than any geographical rivalry in the CPL. This is the biggest rivalry match in the CPL, and I am so excited that we get to see 2 more games of them. Again, another home and away series between these 2 teams in the 2022 CPL playoffs. Now, Forge, as a Forge fan, have been not very good since the early August. This was a Forge team that in June, July was looking unstoppable in the Canadian Premier League. They were scoring boatloads of goals. They were the best defensive team in the league. They were just dominant. And then all of a sudden in August, it just stopped and the team really started to struggle and went on a pretty big losing run, had a 6-game stretch where they scored like 2 goals. It was not a good look, and they still, to this day, have not recovered that offense. Rubens Pasillas has just completely dried up. Taron Campbell's had a goal here or there. Jordan Hamilton has not been scoring. This is a Forge team that has lost their ability to score goals. Going up against the Cavalry team, which in the same time frame also hasn't scored a ton of goals. However, this is a Cavalry team that I think is a little bit better in those tight matches. This is a Cavalry team that's more comfortable winning 1-0, more comfortable winning 2-1 than Forge is winning 1-0, winning 2-1. Forge is more comfortable when they blow out the opposition. Cavalry wins a lot of games by close margins. And this is a matchup where the last 2 games these 2 teams played was 2-1 split each way. These are 2 incredibly close teams. However, recent form puts me going towards Cavalry. This was a Forge team that has had a terrible last 2 months. A Cavalry team that's had a solid last 2 months. Not incredible, but better than Forge's. So I am leaning towards Cavalry. I think in a close 1-0, 2-1 game, Cavalry has what it takes to inch it out more. Cavalry is more comfortable in that situation. Cavalry is my pick to move on to the final. And so that would leave us with a 2022 Canadian Premier League final of Ottawa, who has never been there, and Cavalry, who was there once in 2019. A guaranteed first CPL championship for one of these 2 teams if this is what we get. This match will be hosted by Ottawa, and my pick to win would be Drumroll, please. Cavalry. Yes, Ottawa was top of the regular season. However, Cavalry's been there before. Cavalry's been slighted there before. Cavalry has a lot more experience in one-game knockout match situations. And in a game like this, a one-game final of massive pressure, experience means a lot. Cavalry's my pick, and they're also a team that has just been so close and spited multiple times. 2019, I mean, I said they should have just been handed it after winning the spring and fall seasons. Like, that's the way that season was set up. They should have had it. They were slighted, not being picked to be the CPL's representative in the 2019 CONCACAF League after winning the spring season. The CPL set up like that, but Canada Soccer picked a dumb format and only allowed 3 teams when there was a spring season champion ready to go. Cavalry's been slighted so many times, and I think this year, even though overall as a season it hasn't fully gone their way, I think this is the one where they finally get a CPL championship that I think they have deserved since 2019. Ottawa has had a fantastic run, but playoffs are just not kind to first-timers. Cavalry is my pick to win the 2022 CPL championships. So that is for this video. As always, if you'd like to hit like, if you want to see more stuff, hit subscribe. Follow my Twitter link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.